2.3 million dislikes. Imagine having that much of a dedicated hater base. That's insane.
She couldn't keep her mouth shut.
What is it like for you now having all of this? I think it's a lot of pressure, right?
It's definitely a lot of pressure, but I surround myself with very good people who keep me grounded and try to just stay as true to myself as I possibly can.
After the Snow White thing, I'm gonna be honest, I will be shocked if she gets cast in almost anything.
Imagine this. A star once celebrated by millions, now facing a staggering 2.3 million dislikes online. Dedicated haters fueled by controversy and disappointment. On top of that, the studio that once championed her, the giant Disney, quietly shelves her biggest project, the Snow White remake, with no trailers, no premieres, and no official word. This is the wild and mysterious downfall of Rachel Zegler, once Disney's golden girl, now seemingly their most unwanted liability. The silence is deafening. Why would a studio bury a movie with such promise? What scandal lurks behind the curtain, so damaging it couldn't withstand public scrutiny? This story isn't just about canceled releases. It's about a collision of culture, controversy, and corporate caution, all swirling around one young actress's rapid rise and fall. Today, we peel back the layers to reveal what really went down behind the scenes. A story filled with unexpected twists, backstage drama, and a fallout no one's dared to publicly acknowledge. But this is only the beginning, because the deeper you dig, the darker it gets. For years, the Snow White remake was set to be one of Disney's biggest releases. Fans waited eagerly, studios promoted it quietly but confidently, and Rachel Zegler was hailed as the perfect new face to carry this legendary tale into the modern era. Then, nothing. The film vanished from the Disney Plus lineup without so much as a whisper. No trailers, no promotional events, no premiere dates. The silence was louder than any announcement. Industry insiders began murmuring that this wasn't a mere production delay or rescheduling. No, it was a full cancellation, a rare and drastic move for a film with so much invested. Why would Disney just erase years of hype and millions of dollars sunk into a project? The name on everyone's lips, yet no one officially mentions it, is Rachel Zegler. Once Disney's prized talent, she's now the one the company won't publicly defend or even mention. The quiet removal of the Snow White remake hints at a much deeper problem, a scandal and a controversy powerful enough to bury the film before it even sees the light of day. But this silent cancellation was just the opening act. Behind the camera and away from the public eye, Rachel Zegler's world has grown isolated. She has admitted in interviews that the backlash left her feeling alone, yet she insists she's staying grounded despite the storm. But the reality is harsher. Fans and insiders alike describe her as a walking PR disaster, someone who, despite her talent, triggers headlines for all the wrong reasons. Studio executives reportedly refer to her as a ticking time bomb, a phrase loaded with dread about the potential damage her actions could cause. Disney, which once promoted her with pride, now seems terrified even to quietly support her or give her a platform. Instead of rallying around their star, they're retreating, hoping the storm will blow over, or better yet, disappear entirely. This loneliness isn't just about public opinion, it's the industry distancing itself, leaving her career dangling in uncertainty. The fallout is personal and professional, and it's only growing more intense with every passing day. But how did things spiral so quickly? The answer lies in a series of moments and choices that changed the game forever. One interview changed everything. Rachel Zegler's candid and controversial takes on the original Snow White film sent shockwaves through the internet and Disney's core audience. She called the prince a stalker, mocked the classic story as outdated and weird, and dismissed the beloved fairy tale in a way that felt ungrateful and dismissive to longtime fans. This wasn't just a difference of opinion. It was a public challenge to a cherished cultural icon, and fans reacted with fury. The backlash was immediate and intense, painting her as someone who disrespected the legacy she was supposed to honor. For a studio built on nostalgia and tradition, this was a PR nightmare. Early signs showed she was alienating the very audience Disney needed to embrace the remake. The divide between New Age reboots and classic fans grew wider, and Rachel found herself caught in the middle of a cultural battle far bigger than a single movie. This interview was the first crack in the facade, a crack that soon turned into a chasm. But behind the scenes, the real drama was only just starting to unfold. Whispers of trouble on set began leaking shortly after filming started. Reports emerged of Rachel's difficult behavior. She was described as hyper-controlling and clashing with crew members, creating an atmosphere charged with tension. Despite these red flags, Disney held on to hope that skilled PR and marketing teams could steer the project back on course. After all, many troubled productions have been saved by clever spin and strong promotion. But the friction on set was more than just normal creative differences. It was a sign of a deeper problem. The once promising Snow White remake was bubbling with internal conflict that threatened to explode. Studio insiders watched nervously as the atmosphere grew more toxic, and the challenge of turning the film into a success became ever harder. This behind-the-scenes turmoil painted a grim picture of a project slipping out of control. Yet the final blow hadn't landed. Something even bigger was about to shatter what remained. Rachel's West End debut in the musical Evita was supposed to be her redemption, a fresh start, proving she was more than just a Hollywood drama magnet. Instead, it became a nightmare of backstage meltdowns, walkouts, and power struggles. Crew members reportedly quit mid-run, leaving the production in chaos. Anonymous leaks described her presence as unsustainable, a rare and brutal judgment in the tightly knit theater world. Without Disney's safety net this time, Rachel faced unfiltered fallout. No studio shield, no PR buffer, just raw consequences of her reputation catching up. The show's failure cast a long shadow over her career, signaling to industry insiders that her issues were more serious than public social media disputes. This was a breaking point, where talent and controversy collided in a way that couldn't be ignored or fixed with a simple apology. The industry began to see her as a liability, and the fallout from Avita became a major turning point in her story. But the worst was yet to come. The headlines stopped focusing only on Rachel's movie controversy and zoomed in on something more personal and far messier. Fans who once defended her now found themselves shocked by the scale of the backstage chaos that kept leaking out. Stories of tantrums, power struggles, and crew walkouts painted a picture no one wanted to believe about a young actress once hailed as the future of Disney. The narrative shifted from talented star under pressure to a full-blown meltdown unfolding in real time. Disney executives, once willing to tolerate missteps, reportedly started seeing Rachel as a long-term liability, not just a temporary PR hiccup. This shift was huge because it meant the studio wasn't just trying to manage a controversy, they were trying to contain a wildfire threatening to burn the entire project down. Quiet conversations inside Disney's walls revealed growing panic. How do you protect a brand when your leading star seems to be tearing it apart? The stakes kept climbing, and the fallout was only getting worse. But this was just before the storm turned into a full-blown emergency. Behind closed doors, panic spread like wildfire. Disney called an emergency meeting, gathering top executives, marketing heads, and legal advisors to reassess the entire Snow White project. This wasn't about scheduling conflicts or production delays. It was a strategic freeze, a decision driven by fear of Rachel's controversies overshadowing the film. Marketing plans were abruptly halted, promotional campaigns scrapped, and the movie quietly scrubbed from every release calendar. No public explanation, no announcement, just a hush that spoke volumes. Internally, Disney reportedly labeled this "hold pending talent resolution," a corporate way of saying the film's fate depended entirely on what happened with Rachel. This kind of internal crisis is rare for Disney, a company known for its tight control over its family-friendly brand. The decision to bury a film so deeply suggested that Rachel's presence had become a risk too great to manage. The studio was essentially gambling on silence and invisibility, hoping the controversy would fade before it caused more damage. But what this meeting revealed was more than a film cancellation. It was a reflection of how deeply one star's fallout could shake a media giant. Every new Rachel Zegler interview turned into a potential PR grenade. What should have been promotional gold instead became viral crises, with her candidness fueling fresh backlash every time. For Disney, the risk was no longer just about one film. It was about protecting a brand carefully built over decades. The company was already battling political storms, financial setbacks, and subscriber losses in its streaming division. Snow White was supposed to be a safe win, a return to the magic that made Disney a household name. Instead, it became radioactive, a project so toxic that releasing it could reignite old controversies and trigger new ones. Executives faced a brutal choice: push forward and risk more brand damage, or bury the project and hope the fallout didn't spread further. With their reputation on the line, they chose the latter. This wasn't just about one star's troubles, it was a high-stakes game of damage control, with Disney's image as the ultimate prize. But while the company moved to protect itself, the question lingered: what would happen to Rachel's career in the aftermath? The fallout wasn't just a PR nightmare, it hit Disney's bottom line hard. Millions had already been poured into Snow White's production, a costly investment now sitting on the shelf gathering dust. The financial sting was deep, but the creative consequences cut even deeper. The lead actress, Rachel Zegler, became a walking liability. Every press tour or interview risked reigniting controversy, making any promotional push a potential disaster. Studio executives debated re-editing the film, cutting scenes, or even shelving it permanently, just to salvage what they could. The trust they once had in Rachel evaporated as fans and insiders alike started turning away, weary of the drama and constant backlash. The magic that Disney hoped to capture in this new Snow White seemed lost, buried beneath layers of tension and mistrust. The project's future hung by a thread, with some insiders whispering it might never see the light of day. And with audience enthusiasm fading fast, the question wasn't just if the movie would come out, it was if anyone would want to watch it when it finally did. But even as the financial and creative crisis deepened, the story was far from over. Social media became the battleground where the Snow White cancellation unfolded in real time. Fans pieced together clues: silent removals from streaming lineups, the absence of trailers, deleted tweets, and slowly connected the dots. Reactions were wildly divided. Some celebrated the cancellation, convinced Disney had done the right thing by cutting ties with a star they saw as too controversial. Others accused the studio of cowardice, arguing Disney should have stood by Rachel and weathered the storm. Online conversations burned hot with sharp criticisms aimed at both Rachel and the company, creating a swirling storm of opinions that showed no signs of settling. This digital frenzy wasn't just about a movie anymore, it was a cultural debate about accountability, cancel culture, and the power of public opinion. And while social media raged, inside Disney the fallout was quietly reshaping how they approached talent and projects in the digital age. But what was going on behind those closed studio doors would reveal an even darker side of the fallout. The drama wasn't just public. It tore through Disney's internal walls too. Leaked memos circulated among marketing teams, instructing them to divert resources away from Snow White and focus on less volatile projects. Behind the scenes, executives scrambled to rewrite contracts, adding stricter conduct clauses designed to prevent future blowups. The scandal made employees nervous. Many began distancing themselves from the project, and even from Rachel herself. What had once been a marquee release now felt more like a scandal the company wanted to bury, whispered about quietly rather than celebrated loudly. The pressure to control the narrative was immense, and Disney's damage control strategies became increasingly aggressive. It was clear that the Snow White fallout wasn't just about one star, it was shaking the very foundations of how the studio managed risk, talent, and public perception. But as Disney worked to stabilize the situation, Rachel's own career teetered on the edge. Once seen as a shining new talent, Rachel Zegler's career now feels like it's hanging by a thread. Major industry figures who once praised her have gone quiet, leaving her without the powerful defenders she desperately needs. The calls for new projects have all but dried up, with casting directors reportedly crossing her off their shortlists. Brand partnerships, once eager to associate with Disney's rising star, have quietly disappeared, and her public appearances have slowed to a near halt. The momentum that carried her to the top is sputtering, replaced by whispers of a career in crisis. No high-profile endorsements, no big movie deals, just an eerie silence. Industry insiders say her once promising future is now on life support, with every misstep magnified and every opportunity slipping through her fingers. In Hollywood's unforgiving landscape, the fall can be swift, and the road back even harder. But Rachel isn't alone. Her story is a reflection of a much larger, more ruthless system. Behind the glitz and glamour, Hollywood runs a cold, calculated game when stars stumble. Rachel's public meltdown has triggered what insiders call the blacklisting process, an unspoken but lethal mechanism that can erase careers overnight. The initial hype and excitement around her talent have evaporated, replaced by cautious avoidance and quiet exclusion. This is the harsh reality for many actors who fall out of favor. No formal announcements, just a gradual fading into the background. Studios are quick to protect their brand, but slow to support talent when controversies arise. The chilling truth is how fast a promising star can go from the top of the world to being sidelined with few second chances. Rachel's story shines a harsh light on the entertainment industry's ruthless nature, where public image is everything and mistakes can cost everything. And yet, this silent punishment reveals a deeper cultural battle playing out behind the scenes. Disney's crisis with Rachel Zegler is more than just a PR headache, it's a case study in the complex challenges facing Hollywood today. The studio's struggle to protect its brand while navigating woke marketing pressures and cultural backlash reveals the tightrope that major companies walk. Casting a controversial figure in a beloved classic remake was always a gamble, and now that gamble has turned into a costly lesson, the fallout exposes how studios manage risk, control narratives, and balance evolving cultural expectations with business interests. It also raises questions about how cancel culture influences casting decisions and the lifespan of a star. Disney's decision to bury the Snow White remake sends a message about the limits of forgiveness and the power of public opinion. For the industry at large, it's a reminder that even the biggest names aren't immune to fallout, and that in today's climate, every choice is scrutinized. As Hollywood continues to shift, this saga might just be the start of a new era in talent management. Rachel Zegler's journey is far from over, but the silence surrounding her latest chapter is deafening. Once Disney's golden girl, she now stands as a cautionary tale, a symbol of how quickly fortune can change in Hollywood's ruthless landscape. Whether she can find a path to redemption or quietly fade into the shadows remains a mystery. What's clear is that in an age where every word, every tweet, every interview is amplified beyond control, sometimes the loudest statement is made by silence. Rachel's story serves as a stark reminder. Fame is fragile, and in the entertainment world, the line between stardom and obscurity is thinner than ever. The future holds many questions, but one thing is certain: the fallout from Snow White's disappearance will